Thank you for joining me, Brahmas fans. This is Troy Depew, the official, unofficial, never superficial Texas Brahmas Examiner, the place for everything Brahmas related. Have on the phone with me here Mr. Mike Barrick, who was just given the promotion from general manager to president of the Brahmas. Congratulations on that.
Well, thank you very much, Troy. Appreciate it.
Can you tell us a little bit more about what the personnel changes in the front office, what that actually means for the players and fans?
Well, I mean, it really nobody's going to see much of a difference. I mean, we're more defining the roles for the fans to be able to understand exactly how the franchise operates. And being named general manager, a lot of times when we would make presentations to business partners or potential sponsors, or even for season ticket holders, to not necessarily understand that, that I personally am more in charge of and to operate the overall business aspects of the franchise. And when you hear the term general manager, not necessarily thinking of someone like a Doug Armstrong or a John Daniels of the Texas Rangers, or
Right.
Brian Cashman of the New York Yankees, or Theo Epstein. Those guys are more baseball or sports related, hockey related, as opposed to ensuring the franchise is operating the way it should. So I think this shows that Dan Wildfong, for the most part, and really overall handles all the hockey operations. He acquires the players, he makes the trades, he drops the players, he signs the players, he recruits the players. And while we have an involvement in it as management of the franchise, this differentiates the two. And then from a night tech standpoint, Frank Trezera, who's here on a daily basis, operating the facility on a day-to-day basis and working in conjunction with the Brahmas as COO of the facility. I think that just shows his overall scope and involvement of all the programs here in the venue. And lastly, Scott Tord, who's working with both the facility and the Brahmas, and Chad Seward, who's been with the team for 4 years, getting an opportunity to kind of oversee the team sales department. So it's really a good mix. We're very excited about all the moves, but for the most part, we're still, doing what we do, attempting to get sponsors, attempting to get season ticket holders, and trying to put the best team on the ice that we can.
Absolutely. Now, Brahmas fans were absolutely the best in the CHL last season, and that was proven. But there weren't enough of them in there. When you compare them to the other teams, the Brahmas were fourth from the last in attendance last year, averaging 2,188 fans per game, according to the CHL website. What's being done to kind of bring more fans in, get more butts in the seats?
Well, there's only a 2,400 seat facility, so actually, if you really consider it, we, by percentage of the seats in the facility, we would probably be in the top 2 or 3. It's kind of a deceiving stat when you look at the number of seats in the facility. We only have 2,400 and sold out.
Oh, wow.
I'd say, three-quarters of the games on the Fridays and Saturdays in the second half of the season last year. If you recall, they're generally on a Friday or Saturday night. Every seat sold. So
Wow.
we'd like to average about 2,300 a game, increase it by a small percentage, but our operating costs are much less because of a smaller venue. So for us, it's a stat that's very deceiving in regards to those numbers provided by the CHL.
That is a deceiving stat. Is there any special promotions going on this year? Maybe some different marketing tactics or anything that fans can look for, such as I work in my full-time job. I work with a former Fort Worth Brahmas dancer. Is there anything like that going to be happening this year?
Yeah, we're going to have a little bit of new look dance team, which is going to be exciting for this year. Our dance and promo team. We've got quite a few more promotions. We're going to have a Pink in the Rink later in the season in March. We're going to have a Star Wars night. We're going to have a beer league night for all the adult hockey players. Backpack night. Several autograph nights during the season, and even a ladies' night. So. The promotions are wide and varied, throughout the year, and much more than we've ever had. And we're also considering putting together a Guinness World Record night, which we'll announce later on, to try to set a Guinness record of some sort at one of the games sometime during the season.
Very exciting. Very, very exciting. Let's talk about some of the signings that have been made and some of the players that have left. The Brahmas have, from last account that I have, they've announced 8 signings. And there's other teams that have, announced 20 signings or more, such as the Quad City Mallards. And I have fans asking me if is there something special that you guys are waiting for, or were you waiting until after the Making the Cut program to assess what needs the team has, or kind of walk me through the process of how you guys are signing new talent.
Yeah, this is no different than anything in the last 5 years. If you kind of look at the record, most of the teams, a lot of the teams announced their signings early, and we've got a full team coming to training camp. It's no different than the last 4 or 5 years when a lot of the players get named late. It's something that basically, keeps things close to the vest, and I know that's something that Dan, truly needs and wants in terms of recruiting, and in terms of a recruiting edge. It's going to be a young team. It'll be a very close-knit team. We don't expect to make a lot of changes during the season. The last few years, we've made quite a few comings and goings throughout the season. But from a training camp standpoint and a making the cut standpoint, and a roster standpoint, we're very excited. We got Steve Silverthorne, who's a top flight goaltender. Chad Willard, the all-time leading scorer, will be back, and the defense should be very solid. And there's some newcomers up front. So I think the team's going to be very strong, and I think it's going to be a hard-working team. It's also going to be a younger team than what we put on the ice in the last few years. So no room for concern. This has been standing modus operandi from the last 4 years. Once again, for our fifth season here in North Richland Hills.
Now, speaking of the Making the Cut program, has there been any announcements as to who possibly made it, or how many people made it?
Yeah, I believe 4 players made it. We will get the information here in the very near future, probably today or the next day, in regards to those that made the training camp roster for Making the Cut. But I suspect we went a little bit more than what we had promised, which is good, because that means that there are more quality players than we guaranteed a total of 2 spots, and there could be as many as 4. So we're very excited about that. An announcement will be coming in the very near future.
Yeah, the Making the Cut program really is a great program. You guys have picked up some good talent, including one Ross Rulo that I had the pleasure of interviewing earlier this year.
Yeah, I mean, it's great. I mean, Ross was a part of the team's championship, which is very exciting. And he's kind of the test model of somebody that could come to Making the Cut and actually make the team, and even be part of a championship team. So we're very excited, to hear about this.
Now, that brings me to affiliations. There's a number of teams, such as the Killer Bees, and of course, we all heard about the Allen Americans, that have signed new AHL and NHL affiliations. The Americans now have 2 AHL and 2 NHL affiliations with the Dallas Stars and Texas Stars and the Phoenix Coyotes / Arizona Sundogs. That being said, is it better for the Brahmas not to have a direct affiliation, or is that something that you guys are trying to get?
Now, the fans know. We've got 5 guys going to training camp. We've had affiliations in the past, and the biggest complaint about the affiliations has been, why did our players leave in the middle of the season? I mean, it's something that basically we tried. People wanted us to have an affiliation, and then they all got upset that 4 guys got called up at the end of the season when we were affiliated with Dallas, and it helped their AAA farm team, which was great. But the Brahmas were stuck at the end. I mean, we've got players that are definitely AHL quality, guys that basically are in training camp right now. There's 5 players that are in AHL camps. Doesn't mean that they can't get called up during the season, but needs to be the right circumstance and right arrangement for that to happen. So players can get called up just as much as they can from the Brahmas than from other organizations, but the affiliation, if you're directly affiliated, there's more turnover, there's more players leaving, less ability to put a team together. And from a marketing now, if all the teams were affiliated and it was like baseball, where every team it's affected the same way, might be a little bit different story. But there's really, as the fans know from following the history of the team, that when we have had an affiliation, it has not necessarily worked out. There are some good players during the time that they're there, But once they leave, everybody gets upset because it disrupts team chemistry.
Right. Now that just about does it for time today, Mr. Barrick. It's been a true pleasure, and I do thank you, and I'm very excited for this season.
But Troy, we appreciate it. We appreciate the effort that you're putting in, and we look forward to a great Brahmas season this year.
Thank you very much, sir.
Okay, Troy. Thanks.